This is Make It Simple by FSDH, where we simplify everything business and money.
Hi, my name is Taiwo Olajubu, Chief Dealer at FSDH Merchant Bank. Exchange rate is largely the value of a currency relative to another currency. So it's technically the price of a currency. So I'll give an instance. In Nigeria versus the United States, if I want to buy $1, how much of Naira would it cost me to buy $1? It would cost me about 1,600 as at today. So that's technically what the value of our exchange rates is. For an everyday person, exchange rates largely impacts our lives, our day-to-day, because we always need to purchase goods and services. Everyone that is importing, particularly because Nigeria is a largely import-dependent country, you're actually buying something that is being imported. Even if you're not buying something that is being imported directly, somehow it relates to you, because if cost of goods and services are inching up, you would also need to be able to afford those things, and exchange rate directly impacts cost of goods and services. A couple of factors influence exchange rates in Nigeria, some of which are inflation, interest rates, political and economic stability, balance of payments ratio, either surplus or deficit, are factors that can influence exchange rates. Starting with interest rates. If your interest rates are high as a country, it will be attractive to foreign portfolio investors. And once foreign portfolio investors come, they're looking to convert their foreign exchange to your local currency. And given that they're looking to buy, it will improve the value of your currency. So your exchange rates will tend to appreciate. If foreign portfolios, on the other hand, are exiting your country, they'll be trying to buy the currency in which they are exiting and dumping your dollars. So that can also lead to your exchange rate depreciating versus, the other currency. And I'm going to give an example. If about 100 FPIs want to inflow $1 million each into your country, that's about $100 million. And they're trying to convert it into Naira, that's your local currency. They'll be scrambling for your local currency so that they can buy your local assets that are offering higher interest rates. It would mean that your currency would appreciate. So if your currency was 1.6 today, because of that inflow, depending on the demand for that USD, take for instance USD coming to your country, the demand for your own local currency will lead to an appreciation in your exchange rate, and you can see your exchange rate appreciating from like a 1.6 to a 1.550 or 1.5, largely dependent on the inflow from those FPIs. And it could be the inverse if they're trying to exit your market. So that factor largely impacts exchange rate. Speaking to political or economic instability, most times when there is an election due or it is projected that there will be political tension in your country or economic tension, you see FPIs that have come in to invest looking to exit because they feel like there's a need for flight to safety and your country is not safe at that time and they might lose their assets and their money, so they want to exit at that time. The pressure trying to look for the currency they brought in and dumping your own currency could lead to a massive depreciation in your own currency, which is what we see most times when there is maybe an election in the corner, every 4 years. There's some sort of subtle panic that affects the global market. So those are some of the factors that can affect. Inflation is also something to watch out for, because once there's significant increase in your inflation, the purchasing power of your currency drops. And once the purchasing power drops, it also affects the value of your exchange rates. Exchange rate affects prices of goods and services very significantly, and as you all can relate, exchange rate has suddenly become a household name. Everybody is now aware what it is, because they can see that most times when they even go shopping, you hear it's not yesterday's price, that is today's price. And that clearly means that something is changing. There's a driver, which is largely exchange rates. Most of our goods and services are imported, and there's something we call imported inflation. Imported inflation is what is largely affecting the prices of goods and services, because as exchange rates moves, you're spending more to buy what you're importing. If I imported at a particular rate today, if exchange rate has moved, the cost of importing that good today has changed. But let me even open you up into a different aspect of it. Some people would say, oh, I went to my barbing salon, I wanted to cut my hair, and they're telling me that, oh, I can't pay 1K again, I'll pay 2K. It doesn't make sense to a lot of people, because you wonder why exchange rate should not directly impact the service they're offering you. But here is why. If your barber standard of living or cost of living has increased, you would also want to make up for that. If you bought something today for 1,000, that is the source of livelihood. You would want to inch it up to be able to afford the basic needs. So provided the barber is unable to afford what it was able to previously afford, it needs to make up for that by increasing the cost of service it's offering so that it can also be able to afford whatever basic necessities it needs. So that's how it relates. That's like the indirect relationship it has with exchange rates. Some goods are very directly, related to exchange rates movements. The shoes, the bags, the clothes that you're importing is very directly impacted because as you're importing it, if you bought it for $5 today and your exchange rate at that the day you bought it for $5 was $1,000 and then the next day is $1,500, it means that you're going to be spending more in Naira to be able to afford that same goods that you bought the previous day for cheaper. So if you bought a shoe for $5 today and the exchange rate was 1,000 Naira, that cost you 5,000 Naira. If tomorrow the shoe is still $5 but your exchange rate is now 1,500, it will cost you 7,500 to buy the same good you bought for 5K the previous day. So that's a direct impact on your goods and services. So unfortunately, our exchange rate has been fluctuating quite frequently lately, but I know there are efforts by the CBN to restore stability in that market. But in the meantime, as individuals, in order to protect ourselves from fluctuating exchange rate risk, I think I would also advise that we diversify our portfolio. Beyond investing in local denominated assets, we can also invest in some foreign denominated assets. There are Eurobonds, there are Nigerian Eurobonds that are being offered in the market, which you can purchase. So you have a mix of both assets. So it sort of like hedges you if perhaps the currency is depreciating because you have assets in another currency, say a USD denominated asset, you'll be getting the gain that you're losing on the dollars. On the Naira, you'll be getting the gain on the dollars. So for individuals, I just advise we diversify our portfolio and not just, invest everything in locally denominated assets. And for businesses, there are hedge products that are being offered, for businesses that, import heavily. There are hedge products that are being offered by, global market teams of different banks, such as forwards. So forward is basically, we agree on exchange rate today for future delivery of the dollars. So you need $1 million to import. You've opened an LC. We can have an arrangement. I would offer you a rate such that even if market is moving, I'm obligated to deliver USD to you at that rate. So we can have such conversations where we lock in and I give you that rate. I can also offer you, futures products. There is no future delivery, but I'm also locking an exchange rate such that if exchange rate moves either out of your favor, I will give you the difference that you have lost. So, but I'm not going to give you dollars. I'll give you the difference that you have lost such that you are able to purchase USD in the open market on that day. Thank you for listening to me. I hope you've learned one or two things about exchange rates and how it can be managed. We have a vibrant trading team at FSDH Merchant Bank that can provide solutions to you to manage your exchange rate risk. We have forward products, non-deliverable products for importers that are looking to lock in exchange rates. We also have local yielding assets and Eurobonds that we can offer to individuals looking to diversify their portfolio. You can be reached via the details on your screen. We're looking to hear from you today. Together we achieve.